Okay, this is take two. I recorded 15 minutes explaining things, and unfortunately, I had the microphone audio so loud that it was super staticky and just annoying. So I got it fixed. We're good. Yeesh. Anyway, now to get to the point of the video. As you all may know, for if you know me long enough, I have made a promise to my mother that I will wait until both her grandparents have passed on before I started HRT. Now, I've lost a couple trans friends over this, saying, why are you sacrificing your happiness for 1 to 2 people's, short, miserable lives? But anyway, I've always felt, at least for the last year, that there had to be more to the story. There had to be another reason, another add-on to why this is going on. And as it turns out, I was right. It's not so much my grandfather that's the issue. Now, granted, he is of the older generation, so he would not have much of a understanding of the modern world in terms of genders and sexualities and such. But I firmly believe that wouldn't stop him from still loving them if they were a part of his family. So it's not so much my grandfather. It's actually an aunt. Related not by blood, by marriage. So, anyway, this particular aunt, who will not be named due to the fact that, just in case anybody on here that lives in or around that area where this aunt is, and that might know her, this doesn't get out. Once again, we are dealing with a religious belief individual. An individual who, not so much a Bible thumper, but more along the lines of, this is what my faith tells me is right and wrong, and I believe it, and you can't change my mind. This is coming from the same woman who, at less than a year after her husband, my mom's brother, passed away, has seemingly moved on, which, by the way, the whole moving on and dating someone else after your marriage partner passes on thing, if you're young, okay, maybe, but older people, I mean, sure, I can understand, if you're at that certain age where it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, the kid, if it's like that certain age where your kids are growing up on their own, but you're not like old, like 40s, 50s, and you just want a companion, okay, that's, but it just doesn't fit with me. Anyways, coming from the same aunt who, after all that, has found someone else, moved in with them in less than a year, is not married to this new man, but calls him her husband because, and I quote, we are married in God's eyes. Yeah, that's what I'm dealing with, people. So, the biggest reason out of all this is that my mother's gravest fear is that this particular aunt, if I came out before my grandfather's passing, would rigorously and diabolically attempt to use her beliefs, her religious and whatnot, to drive my grandfather to discredit, disown me, or, pretty much go to his grave hating me. Which, of course, my mother does not want, and I don't want either. Look, I know there's a lot of trans people out there who are like, oh, for true happiness, you gotta cut out the dead weight, oh, this relative isn't supportive, I don't play that. I was raised to respect family. Sacrifices have to be made for understanding. And if you've been a friend of mine here on here for years and you're trans and you don't like that, I'm sorry. It's just how I was taught. Anyway, so that's the whole gist of it. Is that it's not so much my grandfather, but a particular aunt who would possibly, if this information came out before my grandfather's passing, would try to use it to get myself and or my mother in bad terms with my grandfather. So it's not the grandfather. And the sad thing is, all this stuff I did not see coming from this particular aunt. Sure, she was a churcher. Sure, she was all that, but just she didn't seem like that kind of a person. Boy, talk about an interesting conversation and playing a card game with the family after Thanksgiving dinner. God. But anyway, so that is the reason my mom is asking me to wait. And with this new information is why I am continuing to keep that promise. Although now with the knowledge and knowing of informed consent, which is a brand new, much cheaper and much faster way for trans people to gain HRT, it's going to be a bit more challenging. For those who have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to lay down the Cliff Notes version, if you will, of informed consent. This is something brand new I just discovered and heard about 2-3 weeks ago from a very good friend of mine. Chelsea, love you. That little teddy bear butt. Anyway, what informed consent is... Shut up, Facebook, I'm talking. What informed consent is a much cheaper and much easier way for a trans individual to get on HRT. Basically, how it was done back in the day, if you don't remember me saying it or just never looked it up, back in the day, in order to get on hormones to start transitioning, whether it be male to female or female to male, or for non-binary reasons, it doesn't matter. Back in the day, in order to even get a scheduled appointment with the doctors that do the endocrinologist, I think that's the correct term. You had to have 2 letters of consent from a psychologist, gender behavior therapist, something like that, and then another, basic doctors or whatever. You needed those forms. That was the point. However, with this new consent possibility, you simply go in, they do a physical, make sure you're okay, and then what they basically do outside of that physical is give you a short questionnaire saying you understand what you're asking for and what it's going to do to your body. And that's it. You realize that this medicine will turn you from a boy to a girl. You understand that. Boom. You understand that the changes that will be made to your body. Boom. You understand that if you feel like this is wrong, you simply can't stop taking this medication. And, boom, boom, boom. Easy in, easy out, no problem. The problem with this, however, is that a lot of doctors, specifically surgeons are still requiring the 2 letters. Which is like, okay, let's say, hypothetically here, Grandpa goes and I start HRT next year. Let's go from there. I stay on the shtick for 3 years, slowly saving every penny I can, aside from what I have to say for lasering all this and at least this, because but aside from that, saving every penny I can to get the surgery. 3.5 years into it, I can find a doctor at home Do you have the paperwork? No, I went through informed consent. Sorry, I need the paperwork, which is more money that I have to put away to get those papers. It just, no. Look, my dysphoria may not be as bad as some people. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm pretty mild, maybe a 2, 3. I mean, I'll have some 5 and 6 days, but maybe I had an 8-day once, but it's not as bad as some. But for those who it is bad for, imagine being on HRT through informed consent for 3.5, 4 years, then thinking the day you're going to go in and talk about all this, and then go to find out the doctor's like, no, I need the paperwork. Going home, looking in the mirror, and seeing this feminine perfection, and then only to see this little thing causing you pain and discomfort. Oh my God, I can just imagine someone with high level dysphoria just taking a butcher knife and just... No! Medicine and science need to advance with the times, but yet, I don't want to turn this into political, but... No, not going to do it. Not going to turn this political. The point is, the world is changing, but we still have those who refuse to admit change, compassion, and respect. And we need to learn to work, not fight them, but learn to work around them for now. So, that is informed consent, and that is the reason I am staying true to my mother's word. However, there is a silver lining in the fact that once my grandfather does pass, aside from being able to actually start the therapy, since my grandfather will no longer be around, that means that there will not be as much interaction with my mother's side of the family, which means even if this particular aunt throws a fit and whatnot, there's nothing that she can do because I'm an adult on my own. And what makes it even better is that I have a supportive father, mother, and little sister that'll have my back when I do come out to make sure that I'm well protected from this particular individual. And what makes it even funnier is that both my mom and my little sister have already promised that when I come out, if this particular aunt starts throwing a fit, they will turn that line of my aunt's line of, me and my new guy are married in God's eyes, all around on her, saying, and I quote, but she's always been a woman in God's eyes. So that's the story, guys. Hope you liked it. And everyone else in Ohio, stay warm. We really got hit with a shitstorm last night. Bye.